right, good afternoon, everyone. I love the vibrant conversations going on. This is good. It's good to have everybody together. I'm excited to kick off the new 2019-2020 series for the Research Symposium. I'm Debbie Ray, the Associate Dean for Research and Health Sciences, and I've been doing these things now for I think 10 or 11 years. I can't keep up anymore, but we started the year after I took on the position, so whenever that was, it's been a while. We have lots of different people in here, and some of you I will be introducing today. So when I do, don't worry, you don't have to stand up and just wave your hands on who you are. But I'm really pleased to see the group of individuals from across our college, and staff and faculty and students. It's awesome to see everybody. So today, I want to introduce two people at the beginning. Chris Watts is our new dean, and for those of you that may be here that are just visiting, and Dr. Wormley's in the house, and he is very good in two different places. He's the Associate Provost for Research and also for Graduate Studies. And so slides on there about some stuff that I didn't. It's just it wasn't planned. No, it's not to impress you or anything. It's just it's already there. All right, so let's get started with what's new here in Harris College. So the first thing is that this is our series for this year, and we'll be in FAST 1207 for the next presentation in October. And I promise everybody we'll have Mexican next time. The word that, where's the Mexican? Usually I have Blue Mesa first thing off the bat, and that wasn't the case today. So anyway, we'll have it next time. But you'll see the lineup there of the 6 presentations for this year. Keep in mind that the purpose that was designed for these symposiums, A, to bring our 3 buildings to one spot, for everybody to be able to learn from one another and understand what each other does. As our isosceles triangle is, sometimes it's hard to get across those ponds, but it's good to bring us all together to do that. And the second piece is to bring students involved and engaged in our research and help them to know different people who are supportive of the same types of research environments that they might be. So over here to the left, right here, is our new updated, well, we've never done it before, a survey that Danielle Brimo started for us from the research committee. It came out of there that we should do some feedback each year. It will only happen once, and it happens at the end of a year for what is a reflection on what took place that year. The feedback that we're looking for are things like, what do you think, or how do you feel this benefits you? It just helps us to see if there are other reasons that it's actually good for you. What are things that you would like to see enhanced or improved on? It asks about, do you like food, location, time? So I'm already getting that without even asking the survey. And then it also asks about just the purpose of the symposium and whether that is beneficial for you or not. So those are kind of the basic questions. It doesn't take long to take it. Danielle has sent it over to me one more time to make sure it's good, but once it is, we're going to go live with it. It'll go out to everybody. For somebody who doesn't go to the symposiums, it might still be beneficial to give feedback, because maybe the reason you don't come, well, you wouldn't be in the room here today, but if people don't come, it may be because they have classes during that time or whatever it might be. And so it's just useful to know what's going on and where some of the benefits are and the improvements needed. And it also asks you if you have ideas for future symposiums that you'd like to see, to give those shout-outs and ideas as well. All right. Next, I want to introduce our research committee to you. This has become a much more formal process than it was when I originally designed it. At first, it was, I just need people from across across the college to give me feedback. And then it became, you know what, we're bigger than this. We need a research committee that can help with putting policies in place, or at least devising those so that we can take them to the college for good feedback and then act on them, implement them. And so that's what we've been doing for the past, I don't know, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. And so we've had a couple of people roll off this year, a couple of people roll on. And I got the hint last year when somebody said, do we ever roll off? And so we did finally put dates on there. Danielle, I think, was saying, you know, but we didn't have any roll-off dates. It was like, well, you're on here as long as we've got this so that we've got a committee. And then it finally was, no, we can find other people too. And so that's where we are. So the research committee and a lot of other committees, information pieces are in the handbook. You can find all of those there. You don't have to read this. I just put it up so that you know that we do have a purpose and we do have duties that we do. We meet once a month. And we really do meet once a month. It's not one of those where it's like, oh, well, we might meet, but we never do. We do meet and we plan a lot of things each time. And we are trying to put research committee people in charge of things instead of it always being me doing it. So you see up there, it's one person from each department, and that is your rep, whoever you see up there from your departments. Please reach out to them if there's anything that you need for them to bring back to the committee. Otherwise, they will be reaching out to the faculty of each of the departments to let them know things that we talk about at the committee. Okay? So now I'm going to move into faculty research updates. And the first thing I'm going to talk about are some of the policies that have been implemented or are going to be implemented as of today. So I don't know if you see the bottom in there, but there's some things that we're moving towards because we're not getting it at the university level yet. The first one, though, is the course buyout, and you see that we had devised a policy in place, voted on, it's secure, it's there, but there's no means to get the funds back to the college to be able to be spent in that way at this time. They're working on it, but at this time, if you do a grant, you still, if you're going to write in for buyout of a course, you still have to put it in at 12.5%. You just won't see any of those funds in return at this time to use towards your grant. So I'm going to jump down to the grant indirects. Dr. Watts and I have discussed a new plan that we can do at this point, and that is if you have an external grant that has indirects associated with it, even if it's multiple years, single or multiple years, for each year that you have those indirects, 10% will come back to you to use in the way that you need for your research. And so you can thank Dr. Watts for making this happen. If you're doing internal grants or foundational type grants, but they don't have indirects, don't come to us asking for 10% of whatever that is. It's not going to happen. It's only if it's indirects from the grant. The middle one there, graduate faculty. Last year, we went through a lot of conversation at the, now what's called executive council level, and talked about some problems that existed around the verbiage of graduate faculty. It was either research or you're not. And it felt uncomfortable to our non-researchers that we like to call clinical researchers or clinical faculty. And so we revised the terminology to be research graduate faculty and clinical graduate faculty. Now we had to go through some hoops at the university level with graduate studies to make sure that the description there was not different, or at least allowed for our creativity in description, okay? So they had to go back and change some things last year in order to make it right so that we could have whatever description we wanted for those titles. So anybody across the university could do that now if they wanted to, and there were several colleges that were very interested in our model of moving forward in that way. I don't know how many have tried to do that now, but we were the first to actually change this terminology. Since then, though, as a result of getting those things in place, we started ground zero with who was now clinical graduate faculty and who was faculty, research graduate faculty. And if you were new, you automatically, if you're the tenure and promotion side, you're automatically put on a provisional graduate faculty position for 2 years. And the reason for that is that we want to have time to be able to give you feedback on your success, your growth, and so forth, and make sure that you're ready for that next step, which is the research graduate faculty position. Those terms for clinical and research are 3 years apiece. And then we look at it again, and we make the letters appropriate to where you are with the expectations that are being met. I'm not going to go into those expectations today. They're in the handbook and they're also on the website, but please feel free to go and look at what those expectations are. You received it in letters last year when you received your new assignment of whatever that was, whether it was clinical or research graduate faculty. So something that I did this summer, like out of the blue, is I created a faculty travel grant. We've had them in the past, but it wasn't an official thing. It was just kind of, okay, I've got some money. Does anybody need travel for whatever? Well, now it's become more formal, and there is a form that you have to complete. Right now, it's, because I don't know what the demand will be, but it's for $1,000, and you can ask for this every 3 years. You might get more than $1,000 if I've got more money and I feel generous that day. It's just, it's $1,000 for 3 years. But I could open it up each year and say, hey, it doesn't look like people are applying for it as much, and I've got more to give, and so we may be flexible that way. But right now, from a research perspective, this is to engage in research productivity. Okay? To do that, you can be going to do a presentation somewhere with the caveat that you're going to come back home and you're going to write up a manuscript on the study that you presented, and I'm going to get to see that in your publication record. You get the drift. All right. Collaboration. You've got faculty members or others that you are working with collaboratively, and you need to go collect some research wherever they are. And so that just happened to me, well, not where I went there, but University of Illinois faculty have come here for the last 2 or 3 years to help us collect data in our schools with their computers, their software, all the stuff that they have, and our people, our participants, and they were funded to come here on those different trips. I would love to do the same for y'all if you have collaborative efforts going on and you want to be able to do that. Professional development. You want to learn a new technique. You want to know how to do grant writing better. You want to know how to do certain things related to your field or software or whatever it might be. It could be in that direction, or it could be in grant networking. You really do want to go and learn more about how this particular kind of grant operates, how you can be most successful to do what you do. Okay? So those are the kind of things it's for. That application is on the website. All this stuff that I'm talking about is on the website. It's just you may not be used to going there. And I'm just telling you, if you need it, go to the website. It's under faculty resources. Here we have statistician support. I talked about this a little bit at the faculty staff meeting that we had not too long ago. That didn't show up too well. Okay, so consultation form is online for statistician request. But what it says down here, there are 2 ways that we have used for statisticians. We've been using Elite Research for quite some time. We now have a group of, I think it's four different people at Elite Research that do different kinds of research. And y'all been using them, and you've been producing, you've been getting manuscripts off of them and publishing, then I love that piece. That's great. It's not that we want to say, well, we've been with them all this time and we don't want to lose them, but Dr. Zhang is predominantly our PhD stats person and helping faculty across the whole college and working with the PhD students with their stats needs. And so as a result, we know, oh, and I forgot, she's actually teaching 2 classes a semester on 2 of the semesters, summer and fall, and then 1 in the spring. So she's got a fairly large load as well as everything else. So not everybody is going to be able to work with her on campus. Sometimes, in fact, every month, we're still having to send people to Elite Research and those that might be working here. So it depends on where the projects are in what they're doing, how much time she has, what's dropped off, what can come on. Like one person just recently was working with Elite Research and now is going to shift over to Harris College. So, I mean, to the statistician here. So it just depends on what's going on and where. We look at this every week to see what the consultation form reports are doing and where we are with that. So if you have a project coming up, get that consultation form submitted, and every Monday, she and I sit down and we look at those again to see where people are going, what they're going to do. I communicate, or she communicates on where we're going with it. If we have questions, then she'll reach out to ask those questions as well, just to see what's being needed at the time. One of the things that I will say has been something that she's not going to do, and we don't want Elite Research doing it either, is cleaning up the data. So one of the presentations she's doing is about how you clean up data. And as a result, we want to make sure that you're doing that before the statistician, wherever they are, gets a hold of the data. It's too expensive for the statistician and too time-consuming for them to do the data cleanup. So that's why we're going to be teaching across the college how to do that, so that you can be successful when you do roll out the statistician. Down here, the September 24th, that's next week, we organized it this semester on a trial basis, because it's the first time we've done these lunch and learns around stats. But we're trying it on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We're looking to see what works. So far, we have 27 signed up for next week.
Is there Mexican food?
I don't know. Yeah, it really is. Okay. So next week is preparing to analyze your data. That's the cleanup stuff and just getting it ready to do that. October 23rd is power analysis and sample estimation, which is also something that a lot of you want to be able to do. And you're just like, okay, how do I get this done? And so she's going to walk you through that. And then November 21st, it's not just descriptive statistics, but it's how to be able to read those statistics for how well your data is working and what you're going to be able to do with that data. Okay? I just didn't have enough room to put it all. All right. Website info. I've already told you some of the stuff that's on the website, but we've got a lot of other things that are on there as well. If you're looking at student resources, you'll see the DRB procedures. It's still there as it's always been. It's split up into sometimes the nursing area versus the non-nursing area because of some of the forms that nursing requires of their students. And then we have grant preparation support. It just is steps of how to get things ready in Harris College. There's going to be a lot more coming from TCU research, but that's just how you need to do it within our college to get ready to take it wherever you're going to go. Research resources are on there, the things I've already talked about. Student-faculty events are announced there. So the Bowler presentation, all the stuff that goes with that, the symposium for student research symposium is on there, faculty research symposiums are on there, 3-minute pieces is on, all that's on there. And so you can go there and see those things. And then the research dashboard is newer for us. Right now I have the 2018 version, but I'm going to go back in now and just update with 2019 stuff. because we've been in it long enough to have from January forward. By the time we get to the end of December, I'll change it again to the full view of what 2019 has shown. But that's so that you can take it and use in grants if you need for them to be able to see what our college does and can help provide with your budget needs, with your, just managing things within the college, that you've got support with you here and at the university level. We do have Wi-Fi hotspots. I announced that at the last thing, and I still want to let you know about that today. They can only be used in the U.S., but they can be used anywhere you go. You can, let's say you're doing a conference yourself, hosting a conference, up to 10 people can be logged in to that hotspot. But let me just say, it won't work if you put 3 hotspots in there because they're not different passwords, so it'll just jam the system. Okay, so if you're doing a conference and you go, oh, I'll just put 5 of them in here, we got 50 people. Oh, well.
I can fix that.
Okay.
I just assume they were one at a time.
Okay. Well, good.
Yeah, if you're using multiple ones, we can rename them and.
Awesome. Okay. Well, then we may want to do that.
I'm trying to do so that if you use it once, you ain't got another one, you would automatically connect.
No, that's good. But yeah. We may just make sure that they can get that same one again, right? Trade it out. Yeah. But the way to do this, I've asked Dave Farbo what is his easiest way to do checkout. And he said he really doesn't like to do Qualtrics because he has to go in to see what's going on a lot, and he doesn't want to work that way. So he just wants you to email him when you want a hotspot, and he will set that up so that you've got it for whatever day you need it. And you can come by and pick it up. He's in Bass in the Dean Suite, so you can just pick it up from him over there.
We can also reiterate with the program we need to be using them more. So it's part of Sprint being licensed to frequency spectrum. They have to do some public good with them as well, and so that's how I got them. But if we don't use them, they'll cut back and give them to somebody else. So you don't have to just use them for research or anything. If you're on a personal vacation and you're going to be connected to something, take it. Now Sprint's network ain't the greatest, but it might be better than whatever network you got at that time. So yeah, use them, and if it ever became a problem, then you can start using it. It has been in the 4 or 5 years we've had it. So.
No, they don't ever check in on us either. So we're supposed to have a database that shows how much. I'm glad we don't check it.
No.
All right. And then the last thing is that we are going to have a Harris College newsletter for the research things going on in the college. And so be gathering information like grants, publications, presentations, anything like that. Send it to Dave Farbo, not me. Send it to him. And then we will put that kind of stuff into a newsletter. We'll be doing it quarterly. And then that'll go on the website as well. All right. Here's where we see some stuff, and I didn't plan this, but it just came out this morning on email, that Dr. Wormley has announced that there is this was not announced this morning, it was already announced a couple of days ago, but there's a new proposal development program that they've put in place at that level, and there are 3 different pieces to it. This is going to be awesome for support for you developing a grant and taking it to the finish line. So anything from preparing, where do you go, what are you looking for, how do you get it set up, to the proposal review, which is getting someone to look at that proposal and give you feedback, to be able to go and meet with the program specialist at the grant office. But you have to have a fully developed idea before you can go do that. Okay? So those are the 3 areas there. And then what we just got this morning is Friday, October 4th. If you do have it in your schedule and can go, you'll be able to learn what's going on at the TCU research and sponsored programs area, navigating all the things that they're putting in place at this point, which is good as well. So if you've got that, please RSVP. Either 9 to 1, or if you want to do the human subjects training, 1 to 3. Okay. All right. Student research updates. If you want to ask questions, you can. I'm going to leave you time at the end, but if there's something that you're dying to know about, you can always ask. The student research updates, PhD program, we're in our second year of the program. So that means our second cohort is here. We have 12 students in the program, and some of them are in the room today. If you are in the room, wave your hands. There they are. So we have 1 from the second cohort and 3 from the first cohort here, so that's good. I didn't miss it. All right. Oh, no. Did you wave your hand? So 4 from the first cohort and 1 from the second cohort. All right. But anyway, 12 total, and we are receiving graduate studies, financial aid funding, as well as you heard earlier, we're also receiving some like indirect kind of stuff from the college, and maybe even more things to come in the near future that we're not talking about today. All right, the PhD Oversight Committee policy is also in the handbook and gives you information about what we do and where we do it and why we do it and all that. This is the advisory or the oversight committee. It's changed a little bit since last year, only because it's the chairs or directors of each department that are part of this committee. So when Chris left COSD to become dean, somebody had to take his place, and Danielle is it. And Dr. Lockwood went from interim back to nursing, and now she's back on the committee. All right. Research events. Oh, does anybody remember this one? This was the winner of the 3-minute thesis last year. And we have been the winner or a runner-up for the last 3 years at the university level. I know. So this year we will be doing our competition February 26th from 3 to 5, and that's kind of iffy because we may not start until 4. It depends on how many are entering into this competition. But then I haven't seen the date yet for the university one. It's coming. It's coming. But I've said it early enough that hopefully we're ahead so we can send in who we've got for that. And then I'm thinking about October 22nd for a lunch training on anybody who is interested in coming to learn more about the 3-minute thesis and how to do it. I always videotape each year's training so that somebody who can't be there can come back and see it. But y'all give me feedback on whether Tuesday is a good day or whether I need to pick a different day. And I'll do that according to the feedback I get. The second one is the Student Research Symposium. April 16th this year, 1 to 5, and I'm going to give you more details about that in just a minute because we're doing all kinds of stuff new this year. But that looks pretty cool in there, doesn't it, with all the people? All right, and then this one is our bowler undergrad competition to go on to the University Honors Bowler Competition. And this one for us is April 8th. We always pick the day that we have to submit the names. And we pick that day because we want to give our students as much time as possible to get ready. And then the university one is the following week, I think on the 15th. But that's our competition, noon to 5, and we already are in the works for all of this, getting it all done again. Now I want to look at the Student Research Symposium. Y'all may love the gym. I love the gym, but I hate telling everybody to keep their heels off on that day. I hate doing that. But I also, it's at one of the furthest locations from everything going on. And this year, we were asked if we wanted to move to a different location. Somebody had a location for us. And so the proposed new location is the library. And I went and looked the other day at that spot. And if you've ever come in from this entrance, that first entrance in is this large room that looks like it has a lot of study carrels and stuff. Well, they would all be cleared out, and that would be our room. And the way I envision it is and you know, my creativity, if I say it wrong or different way, y'all can ask me. But I envision having tables and chairs where people can sit and talk about poster research that they really are engaged in. I also envision having the one area where there's you know, food and drink over to the side where people can go and get stuff and then come back to wherever they're going. And then pods of posters. So still rolling boards, but we've got so much space in there that the pods can be in different areas of that space. And if we decided we needed the room next door, we can have that one too. So we can have as much space as we want. The only issue I have, and it's the issue Liz and I have every year, is how do we get all those posters from one place to the other in a truck that always bangs them up, going from one place to the next with our people here on campus. So I've also been talking to the library about storing our poster boards, because A, we don't have space in the Rickle, and they're in the hallway all the time, where something's going to happen to them eventually. I hadn't yet, but eventually it could. And so I'm talking to them about storing them, and then they're talking about adding to the supply. And so all these things are kind of part of this envisioning piece. What do you think? Yeah, Linda?
How would you do that end piece where you have the visitors do that? How do you choose for that and see?
Okay, so hang on. Okay. So the next piece is there's a new poster format option that you can use. And some of you may have already seen it before, but we're going to put it online. It's not that you have to do it this way. It's an option. But this is what it looks like. And so in the middle of the poster is this kind of the focus of what your presentation is about, your research is about. You have a QR code that takes people to your research, and over on the sides, it has the information that usually spreads across your poster. There's a lot of good feedback out there on how well received this is from people who don't know what you're doing, and it can really focus them on something, and then they can look at the stuff to the side that really feeds into that. You do not have to do it this way. The judges will be trained on either way to look at the presentation. The pieces still have to be there. They'll just be to the sides with this in the middle if somebody chooses to do so. And I think there are a couple of departments at this point that are interested in doing it. And I just said, you know what, that's great. If we want to have people that want to use this resource because they also use it in their field, let's do it, okay? And then the other thing, this goes to what you were talking about, Linda, is the new groupings and themes. I feel like I'm rolling out a new company, but anyway. Undergrad posters will be from 1 to 2:30. Graduate posters will be from 3 to 4:30. I'm glad y'all. All right, over 150 posters this year. And we're going to change it up, what it's going to look like and how we'll judge. So that's why I'm talking about pods. That's why I'm talking about how we bring people to the table so that everybody feels included and that we don't feel like, well, I'm not getting something this year because nobody understands what I do in a research perspective. This is all scholarship, and we want as many people, undergrad and graduate level, that want to be a part of this to do that. I can't say for sure yet, but this may be the first year that nurse anesthesia will be part of us. And so we're preparing for that. For 65 posters from nurse anesthesia, along with everything else that we have going on. Last year we had over 90 posters, the most we've had in the history of what we've done. If we had 65 more, we're talking 155 plus. And I'll make sure there's enough boards between the library and us, and I'll make sure we have enough space and enough everything for that. So, yeah.
I just wondered, a few conferences that I've been attending are going to electronic posters. Would that fix some of our logistics?
It would fix some things, but money-wise, to go electronic, you've got to have the resources, the source, to put it on the wall or to put it on a board or wherever it is. and we don't have, it's expensive.
Buy a projector or something like that that's cheaper.
It's not just one, yeah. You either have one that rotates them,
Right, that's
which is not conducive for us. We need to have our students at the same time. So we've talked about it, but not something we can do now. It might be something we can roll out in the next 5 years, but we have to really plan and be prepared for that. And I'm talking to the library about that too. The more we can join forces on resources, the better off we are. All right. Let me go back to this for just a second. The question was asked, what about our speakers? We would no longer have any. And we would also not have the awards that day. Here's why. Every year, I just about have a hernia over trying to get this done in 30 minutes. And every time I just wonder, did we miss something? Was there a mistake? Did the scoring actually go the way it was supposed to? And I don't like that feeling, and I don't like that rush of trying to get everybody ready for an award ceremony 30 minutes after the whole thing is over. What I do love is having everybody there to celebrate the students. I love that piece, don't get me wrong. But I don't know that it's the most fair way to get this done. And especially since we're splitting into 2 groups and trying to require certain people to be there for each one, there wouldn't be enough time to get that done. Now, we are not set or married to this yet, by any means. Research committee's talked about it. I'm still in conversations with people on it. This is the time to give me feedback, to let me know if there are certain things that you just can't see us not doing, or you can't see us doing. Whatever that is, give us feedback, and as a research committee, we'll talk about it, we'll look at it, and make sure that we're doing the right things for the most people. We can't make everybody happy, but we'll try to make as many people happy as we can. I just feel that as we grow like this, we've got to be able to accommodate the masses and be able to accommodate me not growing even older and grayer before my time.
I see no worry about it.
Yeah.
So, being involved in doing these things, it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money, a lot of other stuff. So, maybe you are doing this, but how are you also using this as a way to recruit people to your programs? Because this seems to be, you can highlight a lot of stuff that you're doing. So, you use those resources to also recruit this to show you're doing this.
Absolutely. And so the answer to your question is, and as we talked about yesterday, yes. We definitely are going to have to build on our marketing side. And I think this is going to be a great way not only to build that marketing, because we get great pictures every year. We've got a photographer who comes in, we hire to come in and take great pictures. So they're in box. So yeah. Well, you'll see. No, you already saw one, I think. But anyway, the marketing piece is another piece that has to grow, because we have not marketed like we should in PhD, in this type of stuff, or in our departmental programs. Some programs are doing better than others.
I like inviting high school seniors or inviting people to come to you.
That'd be great, yeah. That's good, good ideas.
I was just curious, do we do much to get like the freshmen and sophomores, like nursing students, for example, to come? Because that would be so helpful to them to see.
Yeah, we announce it to each of the departments, and I think,
Classes we get extra credit.
Okay.
but one of the things that, and it's COSD that has started this year that I've heard about, is asking the freshmen, it's kind of a selective thing for freshmen to start getting involved in research. Do you want to talk about that, Daniel? No. Emily, you want to talk about that?
Sure. So we've set up for any undergraduate student who wants to get involved in research, because we've just been taking them into labs, volunteer basis, and wasting a lot of time, honestly, training people who then didn't show back up to participate in research. And so we instituted a common application to participate in research within our undergraduate program. And anybody who wants to be involved this year has to apply. They will be accepted into a lab, and those expectations will be communicated. But it's also the other side of that is we're trying to build the prestige of getting selected and invited to join a lab into research, so it becomes the thing that people are talking about.
And they're saying it's highly competitive and you may not get in. I mean, that kind of stuff, you know, it really builds a lot of interest that way. So that might be a suggestion if we try to start building that informational side for freshmen and sophomores. I do it on the orientation side as it is in the summer. I tell students and parents every summer, everybody sitting in this room has just as good a chance as the next person of getting that job, because you're all going to have high GPAs, you're all going to be accredited and certified and blah, 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 blah. You know what's going to separate you? The research area that you worked in or the interest area that you followed a faculty member on to really gain that experience level. And I tell all those incoming freshmen that, and they all look at me, and then I look at the parents and I say, would you remind them? They need to be seeking out faculty, because we've got faculty all over the place that are doing great stuff on research, and y'all need to be involved. So if we start trying to pull them in a little earlier too, that will educate them to why they should be at that student research symposium.
So you say your research actually helps them in graduate students?
Yes. Of course it does. Yes, ma'am.
I just think one thing I know I did in graduate school was that the magnet schools in the area, we actually had a similar thing, and we actually got in touch with the schools early on, especially particularly the magnet schools when they're specialty areas, and they actually ended up putting it on their schedule, and it was like a field trip for the students to come and participate in the program.
So you know what you've just started is now the PhD students will be in charge. The PhD students will be in charge of helping us recruit our high school students, because we have knowledge in that area. So, thank you.
It'll be great for my CV.
I see, I'm telling you. So thank you. This is good. We've got great student support here. No, that's true though. It's the way to get our kids not only knowing what we do in Harris College, but being on TCU campus and being interested in different things that we do. So that's good. All right. So there's a symposium. So student resources. For the city certificate, what I've done is I've gone to the city website, to the spot where they can get either the bio, medical, or the social sciences certificate. And all they have to do is, first of all, sign in, but then go straight down and click on one or the other, and you're in and ready to go. You don't have to search around for what you're looking for. Faculty, you can do the same. You can just go there and that student resource section and go there to get your city renewed. If you had NIH, as of like 2017, first part of 2018, you can have it through your 3 years. But if you're in your last year and you're applying for IRB again, you have to have the new city certificate, because you cannot be in the middle of that last year cycle for whatever certificate you're on and not go ahead and renew it so that you're ready with your IRB submission. Okay? So city is all that we're taking from this point forward, and for students, anybody, it's the city certificate. All kinds of event information and forms are on there, and the grants for travel and research. We gave close to $20,000 last year to students, undergrad and graduate, research and travel grants. And then I have to thank Dr. Wormley's office too for graduate travel grants as well last year. So it's been highly successful for our group of students who are going out there and doing presentations. It only pays for the lead author or presenter. So we've talked about that you need to make sure that you don't have 5 students on one presentation. Spread the wealth with presentations so that each one can be able to go and have some travel funding as well. All right. Whew. That's what I've got at this point with changes and stuff. So, Chris?
Could you and/or Dr. Wormley tell us more about the support for external grant review?
Yeah, let me go back to that, and I'll let Dr. Wormley talk about it. He's doing it.
So basically,
Yeah.
I'm not actually doing it, I'm paying for it to be done. But if I do it, I'll take the money too. So pretty much, if you know you're gonna have a grant due, you get a good draft of your grant. A certain time beforehand, you let us know that you want to do it. And then we actually take your grant. But in the meantime, we find reviewers in that area. And we will ask you to name some reviewers in the area. And we will send the grant to be reviewed, and we will pay those reviewers to review the grant, and then to write a review and get it back to you in enough time so that you can be able to use those reviews to fix your proposal. The whole thought about it is that in most proposals that go forward, you don't get it the first time. You know, many of you may do, but oftentimes you don't. But we kind of take that review as that's the first time that you submit it, you get those responses back, and so we kind of put you ahead of the queue of the next people. So at the very least, you're putting in the best proposal that you can put in. And to be totally honest, you also may get it back and they may say, you know what, you got some more work that you need to do on the experiment side. And therefore, you get it back, you might be able to apply for some seed grant funding that we have available for to make that happen. But pretty much you write a proposal with enough lead time so we can identify some parts to review it. You send it out, pay those people to review it, it comes back and you can use those critiques too for your review. So that's pretty much what it's all about.
Recommended lead time prior to the grant submission date?
Well, it's pretty long right now for a reason. Right now, what we ask is that you let us know somewhere close to 3 months in advance, so that we can be working on finding the people, and then you give us the grant like 2 months in advance, so we can submit it. As we're doing it, if we can see that we can shave time off, we would do it. In my experience, sometimes what I've seen is that you give the reviewers a certain amount of time, and then at that time, it's actually you contact them, and then they start reviewing. So it can oftentimes take them 3 to 4 weeks, then you get it back, and you mad at us because you don't have 4 weeks to fix it. So that's why we need that lead time. But if you let us know, we can find them, tell the reviewer, get this done in 2 weeks, and even if you were within that time period, you know, let us know and we'll try to work with you. But if you give it to us like 3 weeks ahead of time, it's not going to work, because by the time we identify them, they review, you're going to have 2 days to fix it. It's not going to help anybody. So that's the lead time. And then after the first year, we see how that timing goes with it, and then we can shave some time off. We do that. But it means that you got to be, you know, look ahead, work ahead, and then get that to us.
That's one of the things that I have talked about over the years, is that if you know there are certain grants that are offered every year, and you know that that grant is September and January or February, go ahead and start preparing for the following year. Now you're set up. And this works very well for those that know that there's a grant coming. You've got that setup time. You can actually start writing the grant, preparing, and you're ready to go.
It works very well with NIH and NSF.
Yeah, it does.
So on the graduate school side, you know, a number of the faculty mentors are encouraging the doctoral students to apply for some doctoral research grants or, you know,
Yes.
stipend programs based on research. Would this be an opportunity that may be open to doctoral student grants, or could that be college level type support?
Well, what I'm actually going to do, working on a graduate student specific thing that's kind of similar to this, in which we actually provide that sort of support, specifically focused around like training grants, fellowships, NSF fellowships, but all targeting graduate students as well as senior undergraduate students. Because, for example, for the NSF fellowships, the higher success rates are for those seniors, so that those seniors, undergrads, can get those NSF fellowships and then apply for grad school. And oftentimes, schools fight over them because they come with money coming through the door. And it's also a prestige thing for those programs. One of my students got it, and everybody was fighting over her, even emailing me. I'm like, don't call me, because I'm trying to recruit her to my school. She ended up going to Baylor College of Medicine, so I couldn't be too mad at her. But they also get to get them in, they get the NSF fellowship as well as oftentimes another one on top of that. So she probably made more money than I did until I became an associate professor. So, but yeah, we want to roll out a grad student specific one, as well as bringing in people to give workshops on that sort of piece as well. However, I must say that if you have an undergraduate student or a graduate student The best way for them to actually get that is if they are working hand in hand with the mentor. If they're not working hand in hand with the mentor, it usually fails because the mentor actually is the one with the experience, knows the science, knows that, and actually get it in a very good shape. I've seen tons of them in which it gets submitted and you can tell that the mentor didn't even see it. So you have to work with the mentor, you're working with the students, and pretty much every student that submits one is going to be, have great GPAs and great stories or whatever, but it's working in the laboratory, having those mentors, and working with their mentors that's going to do it. And to be honest, if they're a senior running those NSF fellowships, chances are they would never do that specific research, particularly if they go to another school, because they're not, they're not signing a contract that they're going to work that research project. But the fact that they bring a great, well-written application is what the NSF is looking for.
Awesome. Thank you for all the support you're already giving to TCU.
Take advantage of it because it's gone, it's gone.
I know. We're working at that. We're putting it in. Other questions y'all have? Everybody's good? All right. Well, don't forget to give me feedback on things that we talked about today. And thanks for coming out.